Tech, where we're building bridges and shaping futures in tech. Today we got Justice Collier. She's going to be talking about documentation in the corporate space for UX UI, and I'm going to turn it over to her so she can get rock and rolling. Off to you.
Hi, you guys. My name is Justice Collier. I am a principal UX designer in the fintech space. I have about 8 to 10, 12 years of tech experience. I have UI experience 12 years and UX is 8 years. So I wanted to break it down and be clear. Now, today, I want to talk about documentation. You as a UX designer, you got to do everything in your power to make sure you're documenting your process. That can be either user flows, that can be information architecture, it can be sitemaps. It can be pretty much anything in the UX design space in Figma. And I'm going to show you guys how to document your stuff properly as a UX professional. All right, you guys. So the first step when it comes to documentation is when you have a Figma board, okay, the first thing you want to do is set up your Figma board to have I'm a lefty, by the way. Yeah, so you want to set up to have cover, okay? Now, don't judge the handwriting because I'm a lefty, but you want to set up a cover. This can be pretty much, your development names, who's on your team, it's you, what developers, project manager, and business analyst. Okay, cool. Now, under the cover, you want to have a design system set up. So as a designer, you always want to make sure you have a design system in place. So when you have a design system and somebody needs to go back and review like some components, get some variables, get some color schemes, understand what type of typography you're using, icons you're using, this is all going to be set in the design system. All right. Now, under design system, you kind of want to make sure you have your UX, any research the UX team is going to give you or provide you. So make sure you have the UX and you're going to have the research. Ooh, Lord. Y'all got me out here doing all this. But make sure you have your UX research because you need something where they can dump all the files and the research they have for you to unpack. All right. Now, once you have the research ready, you want to get into the IA. And the IA is information architecture. When it comes to information architecture, this is where your user flows come in, your sitemaps come in. And I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do a sitemap. It's not that hard. So if you have all your user flows together and your sitemap together and all this stuff has been approved, the key thing you want to do when things are in the process, okay? You want to make sure you have a WIP. It's a WIP, work in progress. When you have your work in progress, that way your manager can see what you're doing, your team can see what you're doing, and they can see your whole entire process, okay? Now, once you have the work in process, then of course you're going to have meetings about everything, and you're going to get to the nitty-gritty of what y'all actually going to get into, which is the MVP, the most valuable product, okay? So once you do it to MVP, you want to get into like the UI. Now, you can do some wireframes, okay? So the UI, you're going to have, and then under the UI, you're going to have wireframes. I am the worst writer ever. You're going to have wireframes. It may not look like it, but it is, okay? So under your wireframes, you want to have low fidelity wireframes. Not high fidelity, low fidelity, which means it's a skeleton. It's not in like any colors, any fonts. It's just black, gray, and white, and boxes, shapes, and colors of once again, the black, the white, and the gray. So once you're done with your wireframes, you got the wireframes approved by your project manager or either your design lead or probably your business analyst. You don't never show wireframes to a stakeholder. That's a no-no. Don't you ever show wireframes to a stakeholder. What you want to show to your stakeholders are your high fidelity prototypes. So we call those hi-fi prototypes. But you can call them proto. So once you do your high fidelity, these are where your colors come in. This is where your icons come in, your typography with the fonts, whatever is approved for the company through legal, of course. And you can have multiple screens. So when it comes to high fidelity prototypes, my process is once you have your boxes laid out, okay, I like to set out my boxes side by side. So say for example you have 3 boxes here, okay? With the 3 boxes, you can have them set up as, I like to do a line on top of the 3 boxes. Now, when it comes to organizing your documentation, this is the goal, this is how you want to do it. Create a title. This can be example, right? Example, it could be a login, right? Okay, so let's say login screen. All your logins are here. Then you have another one you want to put under. You can do some more boxes side by side. When you have your boxes laid out like this, your structure, make sure it's vertical, not horizontal. Make sure all the boxes are vertical, especially when you're doing a user flow, make sure it's vertical. Now, the only time you do horizontal is you have design options. Say, for example, you've got some more options you want to do for that set. Then you can do it this way and say option 1, option 2. So that way we know we have more than one option here. Now, another thing you can do when it comes to development handoffs is I like to color coordinate my lines. So this line you see here, it can be red. I like to call it the red light, green light effect.
Okay.
So when it's red, that means it's not have been like ready for development yet. It's not approved. So this can be red line here, and then whenever you have some more screens and you're like, yeah, okay, cool. It's red, we got it, we know it. All right, cool. Now, once it's red, developers say, hey, we got the green light to go and develop these prototypes. Okay, cool, let's do that. So we're gonna turn that into yellow. It's gonna be yellow. That's the work in progress. That's your whip. So the yellow means it's work in progress when developers are actually working on the product. And then developers can come back and say, hey, we just got everything tested with QA. They're actually finalizing everything right now. We got the green light to actually push this out the product. Okay, cool. So since we got the green light, we're gonna change this line to green. So now since we know the development done for this side, but this side can still be in yellow. So it keeps up with the progress and you can track the process. So when a manager asks you questions like, hey, what's the progress look like on these screens? What's the process on this? What percentage are we at? You can give them a proper percentage based off the red light and green light effect.
Okay. What's the typical timeline for this development?
So it can be 6 months to a year.
Okay.
It depends on how many developers you have on your team. It depends on what's the word I can use? How proficient they are in the tool they use.
Okay.
It depends on the features and how complex they are and what has a lot of data. Gotcha. If a product has a lot of data, it may take longer. But I've seen in cases, it took UX team longer to design some new features and it took the development team probably like 2 months to finish it out.
Gotcha.
So it really just depends on the development team that you work with. But this process helps developers understand because they're not confused looking through a Figma artboard and like, where can I find this? Where can I find that? Everything has structure. And when you have a proper documentation, this can back you up in the long run because it can track how long and when something's going to happen, or it can track when you completed something and somebody say, hey, I didn't receive this from you. Yeah. Yes, you did. It's an artboard.
Okay. Let's say you start a project with a company and you've probably done this in the past, and there's no documentation, there's no sort of structure. How do you go about kind of like remapping that?
I have to go through an audit.
Okay.
So I have to go through a company audit, see what was done before I got here, what are they currently working on, what are their goals, and then honestly, based off that audit, I'm just gonna have to do my own research and start over anyway.
Gotcha.
But I like to just see what their thoughts were before I got there to see how they want to move forward. But if I don't like it, we're changing the whole thing. It's a whole revamp.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of like this process, like iterating through this, do you have to run this through your team lead? How does this work? Like working with a big UX team? Like,
I am the lead.
You're a lead. Okay. So
I'm the lead. They gotta run it through me.
Okay.
But it's a certain way I like to work.
Let's say you're not the lead.
Okay.
And somebody has a process in which they don't like. What would you suggest to them? Like, say, if it's something that's not as well defined as this, and it's just kind of free flow.
Free flow?
Yeah.
I would ask, is there a way we can figure out how we can align on agreements when it comes to the company process and flows, so we can make this more effective?
Okay. Perfect.
Free flow doesn't, or free flow, it doesn't have the situation. It's more clever.
Okay. Cool. And And with this, and I could be completely off man here, but do you guys ever work within like Agile framework?
Oh, I'm Agile certified.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
So I prefer the Agile framework, but you have some companies that say they're Agile, and then when you get there, they don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the team and the cross-functional team environment,
Okay.
and who actually understand Agile and who doesn't.
Okay. Cool. And have you ever had, well, I think you already answered that, had to implement that?
I do all the time. I have to fight for it. So there's been times where I have to explain certain things like, hey, we need this, we need that to remain agile. Let's do some design sprints. Let's try to keep a flow together. And some people are like, I don't really understand the process of why. And then some companies are like, you know what, I like that new approach. Let's think about it, let's talk about it, and let's move forward with that. But it helps everybody stay on page, and we get more tickets done that way when we are agile.
Okay. How do you deal with pushbacks? The companies that are kind of stuck in their ways and they don't want to.
I like to do a technique called the must-have, and I like to do a focus group where I have everybody in the same room or the same meeting, and we talk about the must-have, should have, could have, and won't have.
Okay.
I know it's an old technique, but it always worked for me, especially when you have people who can't make up decisions. You have too many chefs in the kitchen. It can cause confusion. So you have everybody sit down, write out their ideas. And then also you can play card sorting. That's another technique in UX where you can have everybody write things down on a card. You put it up and you place it out as like a puzzle.
Okay.
And you figure out what their thought process was and why they think that way and why they feel like that should be best right there.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, this has been very insightful. Let's say someone who hasn't watched the interview yet, if you haven't, go watch it. But if you haven't watched the interview yet and they wanted to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, Justice Collier, and then you can also find me on X, TikTok, and Instagram under technically JAI.
Okay, awesome. And then one quick thing, if you can talk a little bit about your Tech Academy.
I have a tech academy called Techreneurship Academy, and I teach people how to get in tech and maintain in tech, and also have a area where advanced students who are 3 to 5 years in tech who wants to get into leadership or grow as a professional or scale their tech business or agency as well, and teach them corp to corp, professional consulting, and also how to get promotions in the tech space.
Awesome, fantastic. So, as always, if you are looking to get in touch with Jay or Justice, we're going to have all of our information, including the LinkedIn and then also our Instagram underneath wherever you're watching this, whether this is on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. So if you have any questions outside of that, feel free to hit us up at africansintechnology@gmail.com. Again, it's africansintechnology@gmail.com. My name is Saul Levy. This is Africans in Tech, where we're building bridges and shaping futures in tech. All right, fam.